this is the best PvE Arc Raiders skill tree build, at least in my opinion. I'm going to share what skills you should choose as you level up, what to prioritize, and go over each individual skill and what they actually do to your character, what kind of stats they change, and the percentage values as well. I've done a lot of research on this one. There'll be some sources in the description if you want to learn more about all of these details. But let's go through this skill tree, and bit by bit, we'll go through each individual skill and why I've picked them. So when I'd first start out my skill tree, I would go in mobility to begin with, grabbing Nimble Climber. Now, Nimble Climber doesn't really do much. The difference between 1 point and 5 points is very minuscule and really hard to test. You're saving a few tenths of a second on a vault, but we need to do this to unlock the mobility tree. So this is where we're going to go. Next, I'd put one skill into Marathon Runner. A full 5 points into this will save you, well, give you about an extra 3 seconds of running time before your stamina runs out. Pretty good. Before that, though, I would max out Youthful Lungs, because getting this maxed out is going to get you about 24% extra stamina. Now, not only is that going to give you extra running time, but it will give you an extra roll and extra stamina for anything else like meleeing. When there's a melee arc trial, that's going to be pretty useful. Once I've got Youthful Lungs, I will come back and get Marathon Runner done. So these will be my first 11 skill points. Now, with these two maxed out, you're going to get about 25 seconds of running time. So that's how long you can sprint before your stamina is fully depleted. Pretty good change, to be honest, considering you're going to be running around all over the place all the time in Arc Raiders. Very important skill. Now, what we're going to do at this point is go down into the survival tree. We'll be back in the mobility tree a little bit later on, but we're going to try and max out the survival tree first. I'm going to put 1 point into Agile Croucher. Agile Croucher will give you 2.5% movement speed increase per point whilst crouching. So a max will get you 10% faster movement speed. It's good for sneaking past Arc and maybe dealing with PvP rats because, you know, you can sort of crouch walk a little bit faster and you will be quieter when doing so. So whilst it's not amazing, it's definitely not the worst skill. However, for now, we're going to go and get Revitalizing Squat. This skill, stamina regen while crouched, is increased. It's not the best, but we do need to go down here to get in-round crafting. And I like to get this as soon as possible after an expedition because it's going to allow you to craft adrenaline shots in raid, which is going to save you a lot of time and effort. I craft adrenaline shots in raid like almost every other raid, to be honest. Now, what we're going to do is come back here and get Looting Instincts, and we're going to max that out to 5 points. Now, there's a lot of information online about Looter's Instincts and different tests, and it's kind of hard to test it because when you first open a container, the first item that's revealed is always sort of a little bit laggy. But if you properly test it across many different containers with multiple items per container, fully unlocking this skill will get you around 25% faster looting speed compared to normal. There's a lot of conflicting info out there, but all of the best tests that I've seen online that really carefully test this give around a 25% speed increase. And this is going to save so much time overall. You're always looting in Arc. Whether you're looting to get blueprints, whether you're looting Arc to get Arc parts, or you're looting players in PvP, right? Whenever you may like get involved with that, the faster you loot stuff, the quicker you can pick things up and get on with what you're doing. So really, really important skill. At this point, we're going to go back to Agile Croucher. We're going to max this out. I think this is better than Silent Scavenger. I don't think this is going to make much of a difference, to be honest. Like, it's just not really that big of a deal. Make less noise when looting. People are going to hear you as you're stomping around anyway. Like, it really doesn't matter. So we're going to get this out. So we've got that 10% faster movement speed whilst crouching. It's the better of the things in here. And then we are going to get one skill in Silent Scavenger just so we can unlock this part of the skill tree, right? I don't think it makes any difference to Arc. Obviously, we got the breaching one over here. This one is more about just looting containers. So I don't think it's going to make any difference to Arc. And for players, it's really negligible. We'll also need to put one more point in one of these. I would rather put it in Revitalizing Squat. Now, you only get stamina regen whilst staying still and crouching with this. And each point is 4% extra stamina regen. But like I say, we need to get points in here just to max out to the next section. So we've got to put 2 more skills in there. And then we're going to get Suffer in Silence and Good as New. We're going to need to get Suffer in Silence. While critically hurt, your movement makes less noise. A lot of these making less noise skills, I think, are pretty useless personally, but we need them to unlock the skill. We are also going to need to get Good as New. While under a healing effect, stamina regeneration is increased. This is actually pretty cool. It boosts your stamina regeneration by about 18% whilst you're under a healing effect. This doesn't work for shields, but let's say you pop a standard bandage or even a piece of fabric, which has a really slow use time. You've got that stamina regen coming in for a long time. So it's actually a really, really nice skill there. Next, I'll get Traveling Tinkerer. Being able to craft hatch keys mid-raid is super good, especially for stellar loot runs where it's easy to gather hatch key resources. I use this a lot. Then we go to Broad Shoulders. I like to max this out. The reason being it gives you more carry weight, and you're going to need that for carrying guns back home, for carrying arc parts back home, which are all really, really heavy. Each one of these gives you 2 extra kilograms per point. So max it out and you've got an extra 10 kilograms. Not only this is useful for like late game arc farming, but coming in with like a cheaper loadout when you don't have the survivor yet, this does give you more carry capacity, which is really, really important. Now we're going to put 1 point into Stubborn Mule. When you're still, it gives you about a 2% increase per level for stamina regen speed when you're overweight. Now, honestly, it's not a terrible skill, but I'd rather just bring stims if I know I'm going to be filled with that much loot, and there's other things to put skills into in this tree, so just 1 point to unlock the next thing, 3 deep breaths. Now, this skill people misunderstand a lot. Whenever you lose all of your stamina, you will be in an exhausted state where you move slow and can't run and can't do sprint rolls. Without the skill, you'll have to wait 4 seconds before your stamina recharges to the point where you can move normally again and you're free from that exhausted state. If you max this skill out, which is what I'm going to do here, it's get reduced down to 2 seconds. So that's really good. If you run out of stamina and you don't have any adrenaline shots, with this fully maxed out, you only have to wait 2 seconds before your exhaustion goes away and you can start moving normally again. I'd also like to put 5 skill points into Looter's Luck. We don't know what each consecutive point does to increase the chance, but essentially, when you loot a container, there is a chance that the items will be revealed 2 in 1. So this speeds up looting massively. I've noticed it a lot, and we need to put the skill points in here anyway, so we do max it out because it is really going to help speed up your looting. Like I say, you're going to be looting a lot in Arc Raiders. Anything to speed up that process goes a long way. Now, we need 2 more points in the survival skill tree before we can unlock Security Breach, so I put 2 points into One Raider's Scraps. This one will give you a chance to get items like bandages in any Raider-style container, so it's not a bad thing to have when you're always in need of these kind of items. And then finally, of course, we get Security Breach. I rushed this as soon as possible because it helps with loot massively. It's a huge source of gun parts, wolf packs, weapons, and even blueprints. It's still extremely underrated, especially after an expedition. The sooner you can get this, the more you'll get advantage of the security lockers before other players get it unlocked. Then we're going to the conditioning tree. We're going to do Used to the Weight next. 5 full points in this. Now, when this is fully upgraded with a medium shield, if you run around the map for 10 minutes, you'll save about 40 seconds of time with the reduced sort of slowdown effect. So, you know, when you're running across the map or you're rushing to a last-minute extract, I do think this does make all the difference. If you only ever run light shields for whatever reason, then definitely not. It does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. But I do think anything that saves time, traveling is going to be really important. It means you get there before other players. You know, if you're like spawning close to reinforced reception and you want to get to the survivor augment room, for example, to try and get the blueprints there, having that extra speed increase will go a long way. It's like tiny seconds make a difference there as well. Then we're going to get 1 point into Gentle Pressure. The default breach noise range is 100 meters, and if you max this skill, the range goes to 75 meters. That's still a really big distance for alerting arc nearby, so I think 1 skill is enough so we can focus on the other things. We do go into Proficient Pryer next. 5 skill points into Proficient Pryer. Fully upgraded, this will allow you to breach things 30% faster. It's definitely worth the full upgrade. And it should be mentioned that each skill upgrade gives you a 5% increase in breach time, but the final one gives you a big 10% increase. So you do want to max this out. It's not worth going 4 points. Honestly, it's one of the rare cases where that is the case. Next up, we move on to Blastborn. Now, this might be a bit of a hot take, but I like this skill, and I like to max it out. So, essentially, when you get deafened in this game by explosions, the time that your hearing comes back is reduced. By default, without the skill, you get the deafness effect for 8.5 seconds. But once fully maxed out, you get the deafness for only 4.5 seconds. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say you're fighting the matriarch, a flashbang comes down. You're going to be deafened for 8.5 seconds, and then maybe a bastion will come around the corner and start shooting you during that time. Well, that 4-second difference could be the difference between you staying alive and dying and realizing you're getting shot. I really do think it makes a difference. Now, you could put 4 points into here because next up we do have Fight or Flight, and this is definitely a bit of a hot take here. When you're hurt in combat, regain a fixed amount of stamina, has a cooldown between uses. Now, this only works when a player shoots you, I'm pretty sure, but it's a really good thing to deal with rats that shoot you in the back, because when you get shot, even if it's just a single bullet, you'll gain stamina. Now, with 4 points, you'll get 12% of your stamina bar back almost instantly, so you can quickly roll to cover. 5 points will get you 15%, but I personally like the flexibility to get the full max Blastborn points here. But regardless, however you want to do it personally, after you've got the Fight or Flight and Blastborn, we are going to want to put Survivor Stamina. Now, this will get you 25% faster stamina regen when you're so almost dead that your screen is like black and white or gray, right? And let's be honest, it's not too useful in most cases, but it is needed to progress the rest of the tree, at which point you'll want to get down but determined. This is a very useful skill. 5 points in this is what I like to do. So we're going to put 5 points in there now. So with 5 points, this will get you an extra 28 seconds whilst moving before you lose all your health whilst you're in the down state. So it's a great combo when running Survivor Augment. It lets you travel more distance before having to stop and recover health. At this point, we're going to go to a little extra. With this, when breaching, you'll get more resources. In most cases, it's not that great, but there are some instances where it's pretty good. The most valuable thing you'll get is breaching couriers, husks, and probes, because it can drop extra arc circuitry, but mostly you just kind of need it to progress through the tree. Next thing is Loaded Arms. This is a really useful skill. This will reduce your carried weapon weight by 50%. And this really adds up when you're carrying heavy weapons like the Patina, Equalizer, and Jupiter. It will allow you to get in and out with more gear overall by reducing your overall carry weight. So if you didn't do any of the expeditions, this will be your full skill tree. Now I'm going to show you where I'm going to go for the following skill points for the bonus expedition skill points. So in total, we've got 15 extra skill points for the 3 expeditions. You get to see how much power you end up getting for completing those 3 expeditions. It's quite nice. It's not massive, but it definitely makes a noticeable difference. First, I will get Unburdened Roll. This will give you a 20-second window to do a dodge roll after your shield breaks. So that's quite a large window, firstly, and it's quite a nice thing to be able to do after, say, a hornet attacks you or you get hit by some arc, to be able to quickly dodge behind cover, even if you're really low on stamina. I think it's a pretty underrated skill to get for just 1 skill point. Next, we're back in the mobility tree. We have to max out the Nimble Climber skill. Once again, there's hardly any difference between no points in here and 5 skill points, but we have to get it to be able to access the rest of the skill points. Once we've got 15 in here, we're going to carry the momentum. This isn't bad. This still needs a bit of testing, but from what the wiki says, you get about 3 seconds of stamina that costs no stamina cost after your dodge roll, and it has a cooldown of about 8 seconds. And it's only 1 skill point, so it's pretty good to get. And also, it sends us down the right side of the skill tree. A lot of these skills honestly don't seem to do much whatsoever, so they don't seem to be worth picking up. However, Crawl Before You Walk is definitely a really good skill to have, especially as a PvE player. Once this is fully upgraded, you'll be crawling about 30% faster. So if you use Survivor, this will save you so many times in those risky crawls to the extract. So absolutely, we're going to get this completely maxed out. Now, I was a little bit frustrated with Effortless Roll because I couldn't quite find enough information online, so I decided to do a test myself. It did get buffed in previous patches, but here's a look at what it can provide in-game. Without any points in Effortless Roll, this is how many sprint dodge rolls we can do before we run out of stamina. 1, 2, 3, 4. With 1 skill point, 1, 2, 3, 4. With 2 skill points, 1, 2, 3, 4. With 3 skill points, 1, 2, 3, 4. Still the same. But once you're at 4 skill points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that 4th skill point puts you in the threshold to do 5 sprint dodge rolls. Apparently, it was buffed at this cold snap patch, and apparently you can get 6 dodge rolls with a sprint, but I personally don't see that is possible. There hasn't been any testing online. I think it's still the same. 4 skill points is going to get you 5 sprint dodge rolls. 5 skill points is most likely going to get you 5 sprint dodge rolls with a tiny bit of stamina left over. So this kind of works out perfectly in a way. If anyone has done any further testing with this, to let me know. Otherwise, I'd love to see it. I searched for a long time, couldn't find any information. So this is the full skill tree here. Now, you may be wondering, why not get Turtle Crawl? While downed, you take less damage. With this fully maxed out, you'll take 30% less damage whilst downed. Now, as a PvE player, this could save you against matriarchs or potentially rocketeers. There will be some situations where it would absolutely save your life, and it's definitely a decent skill to have. It's a lot more useful in PvP, but I've decided I'd rather have the Blastborn skill. You may prefer to not go for Blastborn and put those extra skill points into Turtle Crawl instead. You would only get 3 points into Turtle Crawl, though, because you'd need at least 1 skill point to get this skill tree active on this bottom side. Effortless Swing, melee abilities cost less stamina. That's actually quite nice for some of the melee trials that we've got going on right now. But personally, I don't mind just running stamina for that for myself. I'm really happy with the survival skill tree. It's really perfectly laid out. I'm happy with the mobility skill tree. We've got everything we could need in there, including Crawl Before You Walk and Effortless Roll having 4 points to hit another sprint dodge roll before our stamina bar runs out. These stamina points are pretty good. Everything on the right side is really not that great, to be honest. It doesn't really do much. There's a lot of value in the conditioning tree. Unburdened Roll is really good. Fight or Flight is really good. Proficient Pryer is good. A little extra is okay. Loaded Arms is really good. Down But Determined is really, really important. Overall, we got some really good value out of this entire skill tree, and we hit pretty much all of the areas that these skill trees have their strengths. And to be honest, we're not really missing out anything that important besides maybe Turtle Crawl. So that's the skill tree. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the comments. Cheerio!